Hey everybody, this is Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to teach you how to make the Celtic Star baby blanket. This features the Celtic weave stitch worked in around and a simple eyelet trim. It uses very accessible yarn. That would be the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre with the long self-striping. So the yarn does all the work for you. You only need 2 skeins of this yarn. Now, if you don't have that available, please feel free to check out your stash yarn. You can use any size yarn for this project. This is using a worsted weight. If you have lighter weight yarns, I think they will be just as good for this project. And so go ahead and check your stash and see what you have. I think this would look really great with changing up the colors as the rounds progress. Well, let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using 2 skeins of the Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. And let me give you some stats on this. This is 10 ounces each and 283 grams, 482 yards or 440 meters per skein. And if you're looking for the color, this is called Sea Coral, I guess number 3967. And I'm also recommending that you have a crochet hook size I or 9 or 5.50 millimeter. And I'm also recommending that you have a pair of sharp scissors and a yarn needle for hiding those loose ends. To begin, we are going to start with our slip knot. And I'm going to chain 4. And we are going to join with a slip stitch to the very first chain so that we can make a small loop. If you prefer to make your magic loop, that would be fine for this particular part of the project. I just like working within the 4 chains. I'm going to chain 2, and for the record, now and throughout, this chain 2 does not count as a double crochet stitch. Now for round 1, we are going to work double crochets worked into the center, and we are going to work 16 of these right into the center. And as I work these 16 stitches, I'm going to be crocheting over the loose end. It just makes it a little bit easier at the end to have one less strand to hide. And by crocheting these 16 stitches over this, it will be well hidden and secured. So let me go ahead and I'm going to finish working these 16 double crochets. After working the 16 double crochets, again not counting the chain 2, and do make sure that you double check your count because it's very important going forward. After that, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that very first double crochet of the round. Chain 2. We are not going to turn at the end of the first round. We are simply going to continue on. And in each of these stitches, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So 2 double crochets in each of the double crochets of round 1 will give us 32 double crochets at the end of this round. So let me go ahead and finish these double crochets. Let me go ahead and give you a look. And once you complete this round, again, go ahead and verify that you do have 32 stitches all the way around. After working those 32 stitches all the way around, and yes, I did do another count and confirm, go ahead and join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round. Okay, so now we're ready to begin our stitch pattern that we will continue through the end of this project. We're going to chain 2, and in the same place as joining, we're going to work 2 double crochets, and then 2 more double crochets in that next stitch. Now we will begin the Celtic weave. We're going to prepare our hook by wrapping it twice for a front post treble. we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in the next 2 stitches by wrapping the hook around the stitch and then just completing that treble like you normally would. After we do that, we're going to work in front of those 2 stitches, and we're going to work a front post treble in this stitch and in this stitch, just like this, and in this stitch as well. Okay, now in the next 2 stitches, actually the next 4, but let's go ahead and take 2 at a time. We're going to work 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in that next stitch. Essentially, this is one side of the blanket. So now we're going to continue by doing 2 more, working 2 more double crochets in each of the next 2 stitches, and then I'm going to pause and let you see what I have after this. So after we've done this first Celtic cross with those 4 stitches, we've worked 2 in the next stitch, in the next stitch, in the next stitch, in the next stitch. So we now have 8 double crochets in 4 double crochets from the previous rows, and these are again more increases. And now we're going to do Celtic weave again by skipping the next 2 stitches, front post treble in each of the next 2 stitches, working in front of these last 2 stitches. We're going to front post treble in each of these stitches that we skipped, the one furthest away first, and then the next. And now again, we're going to work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. So 2 stitches in this stitch, and in the next stitch, and then the next 2 stitches as well. So let's see what we have. So we have our 4 stitches as the Celtic weave, and then we have 2, 2, 2, and 2, or 8 stitches, or 4 increased stitches. And we're going to do another Celtic weave cross. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and the next 2 we work the front post treble crochet, and then again working in front of those last 2 stitches, we front post treble in the 2 stitches that we just skipped. And then once again we work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches, making those 4 increases. And then 2 more. Okay, and now skip the next 2 stitches, front post treble in each of the next 2 stitches, working in front of those treble crochets, we front post treble in each of the 2 stitches that we just skipped. And now we should have 2 stitches left. We're going to work 2 double crochets in each of those 2 stitches. And join with a slip stitch to that very first double crochet of the round, and you'll see that the chain that's going to be hidden in this section of 8 double crochets right in the center. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. So you should have the beginning of Celtic weave here, 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 and here. Okay, so at the end, oh, and also just to be clear with the numbers, we have 8, we have 4 plus 4 is 8 double crochets between these two Celtic weave crosses. We have 8 between these two, 8 between these two, and 8 between these two Celtic weave. Now, after the third round, we are going to turn for the first time, chain 2, and to begin, we are going to start in the very first stitch, which is right here. Now, it's not right here. This is actually the turning chain. When you are going the other direction, this is the space, but since we've turned, it looks a little bit more towards the left, but it's the very first double crochet. We're going to work 2 double crochets in that first stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Now, if you've never seen the Celtic weave before, this might seem a little tricky. So what I would recommend is that instead of trying to crochet along with me stitch by stitch, go ahead and watch the next couple, maybe 2 to 3 rounds, and then back it up, just so that you have a visual understanding of what is going to happen here. We have the back side facing us, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to continue this Celtic weave, and we're going to expand it by 4 stitches every round. So we're going to do this by skipping the next 2 stitches, and the stitches that are on top are the next 2. We're going to work back post treble crochets. We always use trebles in the Celtic weave. Now, working in front of these stitches as seen from the front side, we're going to bring our hook back behind, and the 2 stitches that we skipped, we are going to work back post trebles in those 2 stitches. So they were double crochets. We are now incorporating them into the Celtic weave, and the next one right beside it. Okay, I'm showing you what the front side looks like, even though the back side is facing me right now. Okay, now we're going to do that again. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and we're going to back post treble over the next 2 double crochets here by coming in the back side and working that back post treble crochet. You see that there? Pick it up nice and neatly, and then now we're going to cross in front of these stitches, and we're going to pick up these 2. And the way we do that is I like to emphasize using the nerve endings in our thumbkin and tall man fingers here, so that you can help to direct where your hook needs to go. So I'm going to put it in front of those stitches, and it's going to come around. I want you to see this. And we're going to grab that first stitch that we skipped. I know it's a little tricky at first. Once your muscle memory develops, it becomes easier. Okay, and then the next stitch, we're going around the front of the stitches as seen from the front side. And we're going to grab that next stitch just like that. Okay, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. So that's 2 in this stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in that next stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Now, before I go forward and do this again, let me show you the front side of how this should look. So this is how this is looking. So now you have 2 Celtic crosses. We had 1 here in this round. Now we have 2. Okay, and we are going to add 1 on each side for every round that we work this project. So going forward, again, the back side is facing us. Skip the next 2 stitches. And we're going to back post treble over the next 2 stitches. Working in front of those stitches as seen from the front side. We're going to come around and work the back post. Oh, let me try that again. The strands, they do get away from me every so often, just like anybody. And let's grab the next one. And I just want you to see that I'm crocheting them in front of the other stitches when you look at the front side. Okay, so that is one of the Celtic crosses. Skip the next stitch, or the next 2 stitches, and then we're gathering in these 2 double crochets with our back post double crochets. And now working in front of these as seen from the front side, and I've located the 2 stitches with my finger and thumb so I can direct my hook accordingly. They do tend to be a little bit hidden once we get into multiple crosses with this Celtic stitch. Okay, and then now we're going to work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches, and we're going to do it all over again. So let's go ahead and take a look at the front side, and you see how that is multiplying here from 1 to 2, 1 to 2. So go ahead and complete that in the same manner all the way around. After working this all the way around, we come to where we have 2 stitches left. Again, this is where we worked. Again, 2 double crochets in each of those stitches, because we also have 4 other stitches on the other side. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that stitch, and let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. This is what you have. You should have, again, you're always going to have 8 stitches in between the Celtic weave section now and throughout, and then each time around you're going to add 8 or add 2 Celtic weave crosses. So let's go on to round 3. Chain 2, and notice that I am turning at the end of every round after we completed round 3. So from round 4 on, we're turning at the end of each round. Okay, so to start, we are going to work 2 double crochets in the first 2 stitches. Remember, the starting and the ending is always just a little bit different than the rest of this. Okay, skip 2 stitches because, again, these are going to be incorporated into a Celtic weave cross. Skip these 2. Front post treble in each of the next 2 stitches. Working in front of these stitches, it's so much easier with the front side facing. We front post treble in the 2 stitches that we skipped. And let's do that again. Skip 2, and then front post treble in the next 2 stitches. Now this is where it does get a little bit trickier. Remember I said when you add additional rounds with the Celtic weave, it does tend to get a little more interesting. So we wrap the 2, and you see the 2 stitches that we skip. Again, you need to use your tall man and thumbkin to locate these. I just want to be very clear about that. We front post treble in those 2 stitches that we skipped. And we're going to do it one more time. Skip the next 2 stitches. We're going to add these in. Front post treble in the next 2. And then the 2 that we skipped, which are hidden down here, make sure we grab those. and work our front post trebles. So I think I need to correct myself on the number of crosses. We actually add 1 Celtic weave cross with every round, not 2. But you do incorporate them by adding the 2 stitches on this side and the 2 stitches on the other side as you go across. So we had 1 Celtic cross here. The next round we had 2. The next round we have 3. So with each round we're going to add 1 Celtic cross, but it's going to be bringing in 4 stitches from the previous row to make that happen. So now we're going to work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. So that's 4 stitches over the next 2, and then 2 in the next stitch, and then 2 in the next stitch. So you should have 8 stitches worked in those 4 stitches here. So, or one other way to say that is 4 double crochet increases. And then we have 2 stitches left that we are going to incorporate into the Celtic weave. We skip those 2. And again, this is a repeat of what I've just done, but I just want to be clear, because after this round, you're going to be working this again and again. It's just the numbers are going to be increasing with each round. Okay. And again, skip 2 stitches here, and they are hidden, or actually they're right here. And front post treble in the next 2 stitches. And working in front of those 2 stitches, we're going to front post treble in those 2 stitches that are hiding a little bit. We just have to make sure we locate them correctly. And then skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to incorporate these 2 double crochets on the other side into our Celtic weave pattern. And get the 2 stitches that we just skipped that are hiding back here. Okay, so let's stop and take a look at that. And again, we work 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. That will give us a total of 8 double crochets. And yes, you will find that this is a yarn eater project that I hear people talk about online. You will be using a good bit of yarn on this design, but I think it's going to make for a very nice, comfy, and cozy blanket. So now I'm just going to go ahead and repeat this all the way around. Now, after completing row number 5, we will just continue to turn, chain 2, and we will begin the next row the same way by working 2 double crochets in those first 2 stitches, and then we, again, I'm just going to show you this one time because I think it's important. Skip 2, and when we're working with the back side, we're going to back post treble in the next 2. It's exactly what we did the previous, or 2 rounds ago, back in round number 5. Working in front of these stitches as seen from the front side, we are going to work back post double crochets around those 2 stitches that we had skipped. I know this is tricky to see. I'm trying to be very meticulous about it. And then we skip the next 2 stitches, and again the next 2 we pick up, and these will be the stitches that have crossed in front on the last round. And working in front of these stitches, we're going to back post treble over these 2. Make sure we use our thumbkin and tall man to guide our hook to know exactly where the stitches are. It's always good to get a visual confirmation, and then you can feel them with your fingers, and that will help you to direct your hook. Okay, so now we're going to skip the next two and back post treble around the next two stitches. And working in front of these stitches, I've located these two. So we bring them around, back post treble. And you can see from this side that they came in here and here. And now we come to the other side, we skip the next two stitches, and we're going to, I thought to do a front post, we need to do back post. That's a common mistake, so don't do what I almost just did. So we're back post trebles in those next two stitches, and then working in front of those, we're gonna work our two back post trebles around these stitches. I want you to see the hook coming in there, and the next one as well. The hook comes, and they are being worked in front of those other stitches as seen from the front side. And then once again, we're back to our 2 double crochets in each of the next 4 stitches. I'll go ahead and work those with you, and then I'll show you the front side. And then one more. So until you have 8 stitches here, and you should have 2 left to do this all again. And this is what it will look like from the front side. So we had 1, 2, 3 crosses the last round. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you may want to go around at the end of each round and make sure that you have 8 stitches between your Celtic weave sections, and that you've increased, or at least that you have the same number of Celtic weaves all the way around. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is repeat rounds 5, which was down here, 5 and 6, over and over again. Of course, you can use those repeats. I will put right at the bottom of the screen, I will put the time mark where you can watch those stitches again and again. But keep in mind, as you add rounds, you are also adding the number of Celtic weave stitches, so that when you watch a replay of round 5, you're obviously going to have many more Celtic weaves as this project gets bigger. So go ahead and repeat rounds 5 and 6, just knowing that there will be many more Celtic weaves in each round. And I will show you what I have. This is what I have after completing 11 rounds. I hope you are really enjoying the color changing of this yarn. And if you don't have this particular yarn, it's not a problem. You can use any color, and I think even a solid color would look very nice with this design. So this is what I have after 11 rounds. I'm going to continue working this until I get to the size that I desire, and I will tell you how many rounds that took me as soon as I get to that point. And then I will show you how to finish this with a lovely border. My blanket is now approximately 23 by 23 inches, and I have completed 19 rounds. And let me just give you just a little feel for how the colors have unfolded. I really enjoy working with this yarn because of that. Now I'm going to transition you to the row that discontinues the Celtic weave. We're simply going to work back post double crochets, and I'll show you how to do that around the corners. But before we do, I just wanted to tell you that if you wanted your blanket larger, and I get a lot of requests for how do I make this bigger? Well, this is how you do it. You just continue what you've been doing, add additional rounds until you are to the point where you're ready to stop, work the row to discontinue, and then add the border after that, which is going to add a couple of inches to the width. But let's go ahead. I'm going to show you how to discontinue, but I wanted to be sure that you knew how to go forward and make this larger should that be what you want to do. I have turned to have the back side facing, and for the row that discontinues the Celtic weave, we're going to chain 2, and just like we've been doing, we're going to work 2 double crochets in those first 2 double crochets. Okay, now in the next 2 double crochets, we're just going to work 1 double crochet. We are not going to make increases there. And so when you come around to end this, in the last 2 stitches, you work 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, but just 1 in each of these. And for the corners, generally, you're going to work 1 in each of those first 2 double crochets, and then 2, 2, 2, and 2, so that you have 8 over 4 stitches, and then 1 and then 1 as far as the double crochets go. Everything else, when you're working the Celtic weave, you're going to work back post double crochets, not trebles, back post double crochets in all the stitches. Make sure that you work 4 of those for every of the Celtic crossed stitches. So there are, as you know, 4 Celtic crossed stitches there, 2 and then 2. So make sure you work over all of those, just back post double crochets. And so you have to come around here and make sure you don't leave anybody out. All right, and then when you turn around to look at the front side, it will look like this. So go ahead and work this all the way around. Again, when you get to the corners, let me go ahead and just talk about that a bit. Okay, it'll be with the back side facing. I just want to be especially clear on this. 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and then 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. So make sure that these 4 stitches in the middle continue to get those increases. Okay, so go ahead and finish this row that discontinues the Celtic weave. This is how that row should look once you complete that row which discontinues the Celtic weave. Okay, now with the front side facing, I've gone ahead and turned, and we're going to work the final edging round, and I'm going to chain 1, and working in that first stitch right here, I'm going to work a single crochet. I'm going to chain 3 and then a double crochet in the same space. This is an eyelet trim. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in the next space we're going to work again single crochet, chain 3, and a double crochet. And that is what we're going to work all the way around the edge of the blanket. Skip 2 stitches, single crochet, chain 3, and then a double crochet in the same space. Now if you find that this is pulling it too tightly, you can always go up to a larger size hook should you have need, but I don't think that's not a common problem, so you shouldn't need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish. All right, I've worked this all the way around the perimeter of the blanket. Now I'm going to close up the end here. I'm going to skip 2 stitches again. Now if you have fewer stitches, it's really not a problem. And I'm going to work that last little eyelet right here. And if you wanted to even space it a little bit differently, feel free to do that. And I'm going to join at the base right here. I could join in this single crochet, but that just might be a little too bulky. And I'm going to give it a chain and a tug and find my sharp pair of scissors. Go ahead and cut a generous strand. And let me just give you a very quick tutorial on how to hide this loose strand. I like to do this in all my videos, knowing that some of you may be the very first time you've come to my channel. Okay, so I'm going to turn this to the back side. And I'm going to bring this down. And let's see, I'm going to bring this under these stitches right here. And I'm actually going to work this down into these other stitches on the back side because they really are not going to be seen all the way back here. And let's go ahead and bring it back up. I like to go two directions if possible. It just kind of helps to secure the strand a little bit better. You don't want to pull this real tight. You want to pull back on it to make sure that any loose any part of the strand is not going to just slip out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that close, and that should not come out at all. So now our project is completed.
I hope you enjoyed making the Celtic Star baby blanket with me today. If you did, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to comment in the comments below. God bless. Bye-bye.